The truth is, Scorpio doesn't read minds. It just feels that way. Because what most people call intuition is often observation happening at a deeper level than they realize. Think about how much information people reveal without speaking. A nervous glance, a forced smile, a sudden change in posture, a shift in energy when a certain topic appears. Most people see these things. Scorpio notices them. There's a difference. Imagine meeting someone new. They're charismatic, confident, funny. Everyone around them is impressed. The room loves them. But then something small happens. Someone challenges them, just slightly. For a split second, their smile disappears. Their eyes harden. Their tone changes. Most people never notice. Scorpio does. Because Scorpio understands something important. Character reveals itself under pressure. Not comfort, pressure. Anyone can seem kind when life is easy. Anyone can seem confident when they're winning. Anyone can seem trustworthy when nothing is at risk. The real person appears when circumstances change. And Scorpio watches those moments carefully. That's one reason Scorpio rarely becomes impressed too quickly. They've learned that first impressions are often performances. The real story takes time. The real story emerges through patterns. And Scorpio is obsessed with patterns. Not in an academic way, in a human way. The same insecurity creates the same behavior. The same fear creates the same reaction. The same wound creates the same defense mechanism. Different people, same patterns. Once Scorpio recognizes those patterns, understanding people becomes much easier. That's why Scorpio often feels like they're seeing something everyone else misses. Because they are. They're seeing connections. Most people look at individual events. Scorpio looks at relationships between events. A lie here, a contradiction there, an emotional reaction somewhere else. Individually, meaningless. Together, a story. And stories reveal truth. This is where Scorpio becomes extremely difficult to deceive. Not because they're suspicious of everyone, because they understand consistency. Truth tends to remain consistent. Lies require maintenance. The more complicated the deception, the harder it becomes to sustain. Eventually, something doesn't fit. Eventually, something slips. Eventually, the pattern breaks. Scorpio notices. Always. That's why many people feel exposed around Scorpio. Even when Scorpio says almost nothing. It's strange, isn't it? Some people can ask 100 questions and learn very little. Scorpio can ask one question, and suddenly the entire conversation changes. Why? Because Scorpio isn't usually interested in surface-level answers. They're interested in motivation. And motivation reveals everything. Let's say someone says, "I'm fine." Most people accept the answer. Conversation over. Scorpio notices the hesitation, the tension, the emotional disconnect, the feeling behind the words. And suddenly the question becomes, why are they pretending to be okay? That's where understanding begins. Because people often tell the truth emotionally before they tell it verbally. Their body reveals it. Their eyes reveal it. Their energy reveals it. Scorpio understands this instinctively. It's one reason Scorpios often become the person others confide in. People don't always know why. They just feel understood. They feel safe. They feel like Scorpio actually listens. Because Scorpio does. Deeply. In a world full of people waiting to speak, Scorpio is often genuinely listening. And genuine listening is rare. Very rare. Most people hear words. Scorpio hears meaning. Most people hear explanations. Scorpio hears emotions. Most people hear stories. Scorpio hears patterns. That's why conversations with Scorpio can feel different, more intense, more revealing, more real. Because Scorpio naturally moves beyond small talk. They want authenticity. The problem is, authenticity makes many people uncomfortable. We live in a world built on presentation, social media, appearances, personal brands, curated identities. People spend enormous amounts of energy creating an image. Scorpio wants to know what's behind the image. And that question can make people nervous. Not because Scorpio is judging them, because being understood is vulnerable. When someone truly sees you, all the masks become unnecessary. And many people aren't used to that feeling. That's another reason Scorpio values honesty so much. Scorpio knows honesty creates clarity, and clarity creates trust. Without honesty, everything becomes unstable. Relationships, friendships, partnerships, everything. So Scorpio naturally gravitates toward people who are genuine, people who don't pretend, people who don't constantly perform, people who say what they mean. Because authenticity is easier to trust. And trust matters deeply to Scorpio, more deeply than most people realize. You see, Scorpio doesn't just want connection. Scorpio wants real connection. Not superficial connection, not temporary connection, real connection. The kind built on truth, the kind built on understanding, the kind built on emotional honesty. That's why Scorpio often keeps their circle small. Not because they dislike people, because meaningful relationships matter more than numerous relationships. Quality over quantity, depth over popularity, truth over appearances. This philosophy shapes everything Scorpio does. And it's also why Scorpio can seem mysterious. People often assume Scorpio is hiding things. Sometimes that's true. But more often, Scorpio is simply selective. They don't reveal everything immediately, because they understand the value of trust. Trust should be earned, not assumed. And here's the interesting part. The same observation skills Scorpio uses to understand others, Scorpio also uses on themselves. Many Scorpios spend years analyzing their own emotions, their own fears, their own mistakes, their own motivations. That's one reason Scorpio tends to experience powerful personal growth. They don't run from uncomfortable truths. They investigate them. And self-awareness creates wisdom. The more Scorpio understands themselves, the better they understand everyone else. Because human nature follows universal patterns. Fear, love, loss, ambition, insecurity, hope. These emotions connect all people. Scorpio studies them constantly, and that's why they often appear wise beyond their years. Not because they know everything, because they understand people. And understanding people is one of the most valuable forms of intelligence that exists. The funny thing is, most people won't fully appreciate this about Scorpio until much later. Until the prediction comes true. Until the red flag becomes obvious. Until the hidden motive gets exposed. Until the pattern repeats exactly as Scorpio expected. Then suddenly people look back and realize Scorpio wasn't guessing. Scorpio was observing. And observation is where real insight begins. Comment: I notice everything, if this sounds like you. And subscribe to Scorpio Secrets, because in part 3, we're uncovering the most fascinating question of all. Why do people often feel like Scorpio knows their secrets before they say a single word? Scorpio,